and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. And my name is Dan, and today we're going to be asking the question, can artificial intelligence build a good FPL team? We're going to be finding out that answer and see just how far AI has come. Let's get stuck in. So today we have been using Fantasy Football Hub's machine learning AI tool to build a 100% team rating team. The best a team can possibly be according to the predictions of the computer. So, can robots take over the world with this insane team? We're going to find out. Of course, if you want to go check this tool out for yourself, I've left a link in the top of the description where you can get your own team rated to see if that AI likes it or not. But let me tell you, the AI loves this team. It cannot think of a team better than this. So let's go through it. We spent all of our money starting off in goal with Edison. So we have got Edison as the goalkeeper of choice, and I know that's going to be a little bit controversial to some of you, and I think like some of these picks you're going to find a little bit controversial, but let's just go through it and trust the process, trust the robots, trust the machines. But basically we've got a pretty consistent amount of points predicted over the next 4 game weeks and beyond for Man City. We know they've got good fixtures, but they're just not really expected to keep concede too many goals. So a lot of clean sheets predicted, 4.5 predicted points in the opening game, but we've got that nice 4.6 and 4.8 against Fulham. Even against Newcastle, 4.3 predicted points in what could be a bit of a difficult game. So actually, throughout this period, Edison is expected to keep a few clean sheets, make some saves, and actually deliver the points, which is pretty nice. So nice, in fact, that we're actually going to double up on the Man City defence with John Stones. So I know he is very popular amongst you guys. Not really a player who I've considered in my team too much, but maybe I actually need to change my mind on this one because his predicted points are, you know, almost better than Edison's. Not quite as good as him in the opening fixture, but against Sheffield United and Fulham, I think what it's done is it's kind of weighted the chances and the odds of Stones maybe getting an attacking return in those Sheffield United and Fulham games. So that's really, really interesting to see him actually slightly higher predicted points in those games than his teammate Edison. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe that is something that could actually happen. So again, Stones, clean sheets, potential attacking returns in those later games as well. It's all looking good there. Let's move on to Pervis Stupinian, who is another player who's in everyone's team, but guess what? The AI likes him too. So I feel like this is one of those players where we're all on the same page. The robots and the humans combine. We're friends. We all get along together and agree on this pick, which might not be said about some of the picks later on in this video, but wait for that one. Right now, we're talking about Estupinian, who we know is playing for a Brighton team with some really nice fixtures and always the potential for attacking returns. You'd say in particular in that Luton Town game, 4.8 predicted points. That's a very decent amount of predicted points for a defender, so we like that one. So one more defender in here, and that is going to be Gabriel here. Good fixtures. Nottingham Forest and Fulham seem to be the standout fixtures. Both of these home games, of course, with 4.6 and 4.4 predicted points in each of those. Crystal Palace and Manchester United slightly lower on the predicted points in those games, but overall, in balance, it's a very decent set of potential points there. So we like Gabriel a lot. Potential attacking returns there against some kind of weak defences. That could happen as well from those set pieces. That could be pretty interesting. And clean sheets for Arsenal as well are on the card. Let's go into midfield. We've got Marcus Rashford to start you off, and he is actually predicted some insane points. In fact, going through all of the players that the AI likes, Rashford is right up there as one of the AI's favourite players, right up there with Erling Haaland and Mo Salah, for example. A super high predicted points here. So 6.5 against Wolves and 6.8 against Nottingham Forest. Now, these are kind of captainable kind of fixtures, captainable kind of point scores. That's really, really nice indeed. So he is predicted to get goals, get assists, and get involved. Even against Spurs, 5.6 predicted points. And against Arsenal, which we think of typically a tough fixture, 5.1 predicted points. That is not too bad, really. He is a little expensive at 9 million, but it might be well worth it because the AI, the machine learning, has looked at all of the numbers from Rashford. It's looked at all of the numbers from the opposing teams, and it's come up looking really, really good in some of these fixtures. I think we can see some really nice scores from Rashford coming up. And again, it likes the Manchester United so much, attack so much that it's gone for Fernandes as well. So we've got Fernandes in here. Again, similar predicted points, slightly lower than Rashford. So if you have got that dilemma between Rashford and Fernandes, AI actually slightly prefers Rashford. There's not a massive amount in it, so if you want to cut some corners, maybe you can afford to do that. But in general, Rashford is the preferred option. You kind of hope that with that extra cost that he does does have. But 5.1 predicted points against Arsenal as well, which actually draws him level with Rashford in that game, which is interesting. I wonder if that's because maybe it thinks, Fernandes has got a better chance of being a little bit more creative and a bit more impactful in a big game like Arsenal. I wonder if there's some potential there. That's what the kind of numbers have come out saying. That would be kind of interesting. But yeah, the double Manchester United midfield there is kind of interesting. And we have got some more double ups. Let's go for Martin Ødegaard next, which is an interesting one, because I know, obviously we have Gabriel Jesus. We've learned that he is going to be injured for a few weeks at the start of the season, so we are on the hunt for new Arsenal players. How about the 8.5 rated Martin Ødegaard here, which is definitely a player with high predicted points. Did very well last season. Obviously, he is pretty much nailed on in that Arsenal team. We'll be playing every single game, playing a lot of minutes in every single game as well, so you definitely have that going. More minutes on the pitch often means more opportunities to get those attacking returns, and once again, just like Gabriel, it's that Forest and Fulham game that are of the most interest. Now, what I find kind of interesting about this set of fixtures and set of predicted points is actually the Manchester United game. Ødegaard is predicted 5.6, which is more points than he's predicted against Crystal Palace. So I know a lot of us often say, well, I don't want to play my players against the likes of Manchester United or Arsenal or Man City or whoever like that. But actually, the AI has kind of said, all right, I actually think Crystal Palace is more of a difficult fixture than Manchester United. Now, I know that's not going to make too many Manchester United fans happy, but the AI has a really good track record of getting these things right, particularly last year when we were looking at a lot of the numbers, which is why I wanted to bring this back for this season as well, to see how much it's improved, how much it's come forward. And when it says play your Arsenal players against Manchester United, you know what? I'm going to trust it. So much so, we've got another double up here. Martinelli is involved as well, so that is kind of interesting, isn't it? Again, we see that Manchester United predicted points slightly higher than the Crystal Palace predicted points. So, yeah, really, really nice there. Really, really interesting there to see those Arsenal attackers do have potential, even in those games where a lot of us maybe were a little bit worried about that fixture. Maybe this serves as a bit of reassurance. If the robots taking over the world can be reassuring, then I guess that's the situation we're in right now, I guess. And let's finish off the midfield. We've got Bryan Mbeumo, which is an interesting one. Now, you can go two ways with the AI. Now, I did test out a few players in this position. We tried with Kaoru Mitoma in this position for Brighton, and he came up with really nice scores in the opening 3 fixtures, but then it started to dip down quite badly from there. If you kind of spread it a little bit further, look for the best players over a slightly longer period of time with a DK in there, then we see Mbeumo over these first 3 fixtures, very good, only slightly lower than Mitoma in the predicted points. But then we've got that Bournemouth game where Mbeumo is predicted 5.4 points, which is kind of similar points that we're kind of seeing from those 8 million players, which is really, really kind of interesting that you can get a player who is predicted really high points for that slightly lower value. And that's really just down to the fact that we've got some really, really nice fixtures. And even that Spurs game, once again, you can see the Tottenham Hotspur game, which I know some people are worried about, actually Brentford are kind of fancied against them, and 5.2 predicted points in that game as well. It's actually the second most favourable game for Mbeumo in that opening 4 fixtures. So Mbeumo, a really nice player to go for that gives you slightly more longevity than Mitoma. And we're going to have a look at the predicted points for the whole team over several game weeks later on in this video. Let's move up front, guys. We've got Erling Haaland, of course, and his predicted points are just mad. They're just crazy high every single game week. It doesn't matter who he's playing. He's always above 8 predicted points, which is quite nuts, really. Again, a lot of us probably thought, okay, against Newcastle, do I actually want to captain? I'm going to have Erling Haaland, but am I going to captain him against the likes of Newcastle? Well, you can see 8.1 predicted points against Newcastle, which isn't actually that much lower than the 8.2 predicted points away against Burnley. So definitely something we need to be taken into consideration. Could Haaland perform against anyone? Well, we kind of saw last year he can, and I feel like we need to remember that, take those lessons on, just like the AI has clearly taken those lessons on and kind of learned Haaland can do the business against literally anyone. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, even if you think Newcastle is a tough fixture for many players. For a guy like this, a robot like this, well, the robots love the robot. There's no real surprise there, is there? And finally, we're going to finish off the first 11 with a player who you did not see coming. You did not see this one coming, and that is going to be Callum Wilson. Yes, the 8 million Newcastle forward is the final piece of this first 11 jigsaw puzzle, which is going to come as a surprise to a lot of you guys, but his numbers are really, really good. We know his numbers are good. We know how clinical he is. We saw it at the end of the last season that Wilson basically became a kind of an essential player. He was revolutionary to so many people's seasons. If you picked Wilson at the end of last season, you would have seen yourself with a really nice rank boost at the end there, which was very, very impressive. And the AI is saying, okay, we've got some difficult fixtures, but we also have a player who could do really, really well in those fixtures. But I have to admit to you guys, the AI is struggling a little bit with forwards. Now, the forwards' predicted points are, in general, a lot higher than the defenders, but at the same time, there is not too many super high scorers. You know, we seem to be seeing with the AI a lot more value in those midfield positions, which is why we've gone here for a 3-5-2 formation, because you can see in the midfield positions, even the likes of Mbumo at 6.5 million is predicted to score a similar, if not slightly higher points than a player like Wilson, who is, you know, the highest rated forward after Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, who doesn't fit in because of budget, but still it goes Haaland, Kane, Callum Wilson as the third highest predicted points over these opening games, over these opening set of fixtures. Whether he will actually start every game, Wilson, is a different question. I'm not 100% convinced by that one. I think there could be some rotation with Isak, but we know that Wilson is a player who can perform even in limited minutes, and the AI definitely takes minutes into consideration. It takes minutes into heavy consideration. So the scores you're seeing here, the predicted scores, they are minutes adjusted. So this is probably expecting Wilson to play on average maybe 50 to 60 minutes per game and still score these amount of points. Now, if you think that's going to happen, fair enough. If you want to bet against the machines, that's absolutely fine as well. AI is obviously constantly developing and it's not going to have all of the answers, but it can give you a very good idea. So I feel like we should have a look at some alternatives later on in this video in just a few moments. But first of all, I think we do need to have a look at this bench. So we've got Macy on the bench, who right now is the goalkeeper for Luton. Their main goalkeeper, Shea, is kind of injured right now. They are looking to get a new goalkeeper, so we could see these predicted points actually plummet to 0 as soon as Luton have signed a new goalkeeper, which they're still looking to do. It's this close to the start of the season, but for now, Macy is the highest predicted of the 4 million goalkeepers. We've got Bulldog here and Bayer, who are the best 4 million defenders in kind of the AI predictions. And we've got Marvelous Nakamba there as well as the highest predicted points among the 4.5 million midfielders. Let's throw a captain's armband on Erling Haaland because he has the best numbers there. You can see vice captain on Rashford. He is the second highest predicted points for game week 1 in this team. And let's throw up on screen also the predicted total points and team individual game week rating for each of the next 4 game weeks. So let's put that on screen, guys. You can see game week 1, we're a 99% rated team. Game week 2, it's an 100% rated team, which means you literally cannot do any better. It's like the perfect team. And we see that trend in game week 3, 4, 5, and 6, which aren't on screen, but I'll show you shortly, guys. This team is predicted to be like basically the best possible team you can possibly make from game weeks 2 all the way through to game week 6. That's pretty crazy. To basically, you don't need to make any transfers and you'll still have an amazing team. So unless you get injuries and suspensions, you can just roll with this. This could be your set and forget team for a few weeks. You can just make this team go on holiday for a couple of months and come back and see yourself with an amazing rank. That is how good this team is, according to the robots, who I trust a little bit. Now, there's a few things you may notice about this team. First of all, there is no Liverpool players whatsoever. So Liverpool players, value for money in terms of how much they cost versus how many points they're predicted, don't actually provide too much value according to artificial intelligence, which is going to come as a surprise to a lot of you guys. I know you'll be looking at guessing the likes of Trent, the likes of Salah. There's one other major player who I think is missing as well, and that's actually Saka. So Saka is actually predicted slightly lower points than Ødegaard, which is interesting. So you could maybe make that switch if you wanted to, but Ødegaard is predicted more points. Don't ask me why. I don't know the exact algorithms of how it works these things out, but like I say, it is definitely something interesting to consider. So with that team set, I know you're not going to be 100% on all of these players, but I'm just showing you what the robots told me. I'm just a messenger. I'm just a messenger for the robots. Let's have a look at this in a little bit more detail and see if we can find any more alternatives for the likes of Wilson. So I've got on screen, guys, the Fantasy Football Hub's website, and I'll leave a link to this page in the description, top of the description, where you can build your perfect 100% AI team for your very own. Mess around with it, see how close you can get to 100%. You can put your own team in here, see if it can compete with this, but let me tell you, you can't do better than 100%. So this is the perfect team, but maybe you can make some small adjustments to it. I think anything above 90, 95%, then you're onto a real winner. You've got a real good, strong team. So I would definitely try and make sure you are entering your team in just to check that you are above around 90%. As long as that you're kind of there, then I think you're kind of good to go. So make sure you are doing that, guys, because I think it is important to get that second opinion. I know it's not from a second opinion from a human, but you know, if you haven't got access to a human to rate your team, it's very, very nice to have that reference point with the robot. But looking through this team, I think we can have a look at some other forwards, because I know we've got really decent predicted points for Wilson. We can see it's pretty consistently really, really high here, all the way through to like game week 7. We can see we've got 5.9 predicted points at home against Burnley, which is pretty decent, to be fair. But will he get the minutes? I'm not sure. Is there anyone else we can put in and maintain a team rating of 100%? So let's go on the forward position here. We are going to sort this by 4 game week predictions, so that's the total predicted points over the next 4 game weeks, and we need to adjust our price to 8 million because we've only got a budget of 8 million here, which allows us to go for potentially Darwin Nunez. Now, his predicted points are also 20 over the next 4 game weeks, so that does put him even. We have got Ollie Watkins here, 20 predicted points as well, but I'm wondering if we can actually boost this just a little bit. So let's try and do that. Let's swap out Wilson here and put in Darwin. That keeps it the same because we're still on 20 predicted points. But that actually frees up 0.5, which allows us, I believe, if we go to 8.5 million midfielders. Okay, it's saying, so it's actually saying that Saka has got the same amount of predicted points over the next 4 game weeks as Martinelli, because Martinelli is expected to do slightly better in that Manchester United game, but Saka is predicted to do slightly better in the Crystal Palace game, I believe. So there's not much in it really, but I guess it's taking the opponents of the teams into consideration a little bit. So actually, it seems like there's no real benefit, according to the AI, of going for the likes of Saka over Martinelli. So you can maybe just save that 0.5 million in the bank. But we have still maintained our 100% team rating, and we've managed to put 0.5 in the bank as well. So we've actually improved upon this team, which is really, really nice to see. Now, let's go through some of these game weeks and see what our predicted points are for each of them, and see if we've still got 100% game week rating on all of them. So game week 2, 100%. Game week 3, 100% again. Game week 4, 100%. 5. Okay, on game week 5, we're down to 99% game week rating for this one, having switched out Wilson for Darwin. For Darwin, because I believe that must be because Wilson is predicted slightly higher points in game week 5. Yeah, 5.5 there compared to Darwin predicted 5 points against Wolves. So that's kind of interesting, maybe something to consider. But yeah, in general, look, guys, this is an insane team. Even game week 8. Hopefully you're going to be using a few transfers by this point, but the game week rating is still 93%, so it's still a heavily rated team. But we're looking at a team that is going to consistently score 60 to 70 points, which is enough to win FPL, technically. If you scored between 60 and 70 points every single game week, you would be in for a real chance of winning FPL. So if the AI is right, maybe we're going to see a situation where robots can win the whole thing. I don't know, guys. This seems quite crazy to me that we're predicted quite this high points. But look, it says it right here. It's awful. We've got kind of a weak bench. I don't know if some of you guys are not going to like that. Maybe we can spend the extra 0.5 million on a different defender. Again, let's go to, let's go 4.5 for defenders, and maybe switch out Bayer here. Let's see if we can get anyone who's worth a little bit of money. So defenders, 4 game week prediction, 4.5 million or less. It reckons Ethan Pinnock is the 4.5 million defender to own. So again, if you guys are looking for a 4.5 million defender, the AI reckons Pinnock is your guy. Has a little bit of goal threat, to be fair, and some really nice fixtures for Brentford as well. So let's throw in Pinnock there as well. And you can maybe afford to play him in certain game weeks, for example. Maybe, possibly, let's see, I guess, maybe some of the game weeks. But guys, I'm not going to keep you fiddling around with this one. I could just play around with this tool all day, all night. right? Because it's good fun and you get to try some different combos and things like that. We're still at 100% team racing, which is exactly what I wanted to maintain by the end of this video. We've managed to do that. And yeah, like I say, definitely recommend you guys go check this out for yourself and see what you can do with it. But that is going to be the end of today's video. If you did enjoy this one, please do drop a like, do subscribe, and let me know whether you will be trusting the AI and building a team similar to this one. How different is your team to the AI's team? Are you pretty similar, or are you completely different and maybe you're just going anti-robot tactic? I don't know. Let me know, guys. But we're going to leave it there. Make sure you go and check out this video here. Don't know what it is, but go check that out. And aside from that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.